China has strongly refuted the contents of a database that contains information about alleged victims in Xinjiang. The Xinjiang Uighur Autonomous Region describes it as fabricated and political maneuvers. Chinese officials say the group that compiled the data, the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, or ASPI, is an anti-China organization and a tool of the US government. Beijing says the group is not an academic research institute. The database contains testimony from Xinjiang residents who allegedly suffered human rights abuses. But Xinjiang officials say they fact-checked more than 10,000 cases and found some lied to avoid legal trouble. At the same time, China is stepping up pressure on Western multinationals and academics to reject reports of abuses in Xinjiang. Lo Minmin reports.
I'm from China. Like a Huawei phone, you know. We have a lot in common. We're both cheap, easy to break, and a threat to national security.
Nearly overnight, this 26-year-old Australian-based analyst found herself the target of China's vitriol. Details of her personal life exposed, and calls for her estranged father to be punished for her views and to be expelled from China.
She is no stranger to controversial views. She was singled out for writing a report alleging that Uyghurs were forcibly employed in labor-intensive industries, and she's not the only researcher facing the heat.
In recent weeks, China has imposed sanctions on scholars and think tanks for what the Chinese Foreign Ministry calls malicious spreading of lies and misinformation about Xinjiang. State media has fanned calls to boycott companies like H&M and Nike for not using cotton from Xinjiang over concerns of forced labor.
The people in China will get more united behind the Chinese government. Why? Because we realize that we not only need to deal with the threat of separatism and terrorism and extremism and radicalization in Xinjiang, but we also need to guard against all the evil forces in Western countries which are actually accusing China in a false way and try to depict China in completely untruthful manner.
To push back against criticism that China is oppressing the Uyghur Muslims, Beijing has embarked on a wide-ranging propaganda campaign.
那些戴着有色眼镜看中国的人，你们根本就不配用我们新疆这么好的棉花，慢走不送。
Meanwhile, a state-backed musical depicting harmony in Xinjiang opened in Chinese cinemas last week. In recent days, Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Hua Chunying has been tweeting about Xinjiang, accusing the CIA of playing the Uyghur card to put pressure on China.
The mobilization of nationalism within the PRC, I mean, that has always amplified the official position. What this has done, I think, is to signal to other people of ethnic Chinese origin that speaking up against the PRC, and there's a distinction between the PRC, the Chinese state, and Chinese culture and Chinese people. But speaking up against the PRC will be taken as if all these three are synonymous.
This isn't the first time the Chinese is using the sheer size of their population to send a message. In the past, Korean and Japanese goods have come under attack when there were perceived threats to China's political interests. But experts say the scale of the consumer boycott towards Swedish, German, and US brands all at the same time is unprecedented. Companies may soon have to choose either a Chinese market or a non-Chinese one.
This puts international brands in a position where they can no longer live with a myth that business and politics are separate. It does make me more wary and more careful about what I can do and what I try to do in terms of research. This lack of research and publishing is likely to, I think, drive a further wedge between China and the rest of the world.
China maintains tight control in Xinjiang with a dense network of surveillance cameras and police posts. And foreign media visiting the region independently have been shadowed and harassed by authorities.